Alright, why am I making this video? Another YouTuber called Mandrake made a video about school shooter games which eventually got taken down. All I really know for sure is that it got to the point where the police came to his door. So if you want to watch his video about that, then go ahead and do so. I am essentially making my own version of his video for the sake of preserving the information he went over. So hopefully that's cleared up. I don't want to start anything, I'm just trying to do the right thing, I guess. And if you're completely unfamiliar, this is going to be a video about games that are about school shooters or games made by school shooters. The topics I'm going to get into are going to be very detailed and graphic and maybe a little touchy for some of you. So because I'm going to have to say it anyway, school shootings are bad. They're very coded actually. I'm only giving this disclaimer because I might have some good things to say about the games, but that doesn't mean that I agree with the people behind them, I guess. You know, separate the art from the artist or some shit like that. Also, I don't know yet, so I'm gonna say this. I might say some things that might upset my actual fans that are very pro-gun. I'm not sure what I'm gonna say yet. I'm just throwing that out there in case I do. Hopefully I don't. I am a reasonable, sensible person. I think that I'm not gonna say too many things that might come off as fucking retarded. Either way, show Mandrake some love. Show me more love though, please. I don't think I need to repeat myself, but I'm going to anyway. I'm not promoting anything I'm going to talk about. There aren't going to be any links to download them besides the links to my own socials. I don't do politics, I just play games, so I'm gonna treat this like a game review, where I talk about both the positives and negatives of the game in question. Alright, I think that's enough yapping. Let's just start the video. Ah yes, one of the very few games on this list that's allowed to be on Steam and is left-wing propaganda. The Final Exam is a free-to-play simulation of what it's like to be a victim or a survivor of a school shooting. I'm sure this game has good intentions. The game starts you out in a messy locker room. It's really dark, there's a bunch of shit everywhere, and there's no jump button. After you figure out where to go, it's pretty straightforward from there. Literally, you go in a straight line and do quick time events. Like, I'm not even joking here, the average PS4 game has more gameplay than this. Your actions don't have consequences because there's no room for you to fuck up. And should you mess up a QTE, nothing happens. It just keeps going. The reason why the game is like this is because they want you to feel like you're a survivor or a potential victim depending on whether or not you die at the end. Once you think the game is finally going at a normal pace, the game will then stop itself just to preach at you. Like, imagine you're playing Alien Isolation only for the game to stop itself just to tell you that guns are evil and that Wayland Yutani did nothing wrong. I'm not gonna get into it, but the game really does tell you stuff that's blatantly untrue. When you finish the game, you get two endings. The first ending is if you fuck up the QTE and you die, to which I shit you not, the game tries to guilt trip you to make you feel responsible for what happened, and that unless you donate to this charity you've never heard of, you're actually causing more events like this. If you get the quick time event just right and you do live, then the game says, you lived, but at what cost? Other people could have lived too, you know. You just have to donate to this foundation you've never heard of. In short, this is just a poor man's Alien Isolation. Like, at that point, just play actual Alien Isolation. Because instead of fighting like a little bitch the entire time, you actually get a gun which gives you a chance to fight back, which makes you hesitate during a fight or flight situation, thus naturally leaving room for error on your end which can get you killed, making the player's death actually feel like they lost and have it actually mean something, you know, instead of just being over dramatic for the sake of it. Like, I'm sorry, this game is trash, I can't take it seriously, especially when motion blur is forced to be on. You can tell this is an Unreal Engine game by the fact that nothing was happening and I was still losing frames. Oh yeah, not only does this game run like shit because it's on Unreal Engine, but the game also has AI generated cutscenes and AI generated faces. I'm sorry, I can't take this seriously. Anytime I see something that's obviously AI, I immediately start to think that Charlie Kirk and Jeffrey Epstein are gonna call Toon 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 Sahur at 3 AM or some dumb shit like that. This game is nothing special. Everything else on this list is gonna have something that's gonna make me not take it seriously. Oh, and before you start telling me it's my fault the game runs like shit, here are my specs. Super Columbine Massacre RPG is an RPG Maker game following the events of the Columbine shooting. Like a few other projects, I was able to find this one on Internet Archive. I mean, there's not really a storefront where you can get these, you know. Starting the game, we can see the main menu, which is a still from the security footage of the event. When you actually start the game, you can see it's actually trying to be one-to-one with Dylan and Eric's last day. They enter the building, plant the explosives, and get their weapons. The guns in question are complete dog shit in real life. If you were anywhere else in the world and you had a Tech 9 and a high point carbine, you would be a laughingstock and nobody would take you seriously. Anyway, the game plays out exactly how you expect it to. Dylan and Nerd make their way to the library, have a standoff with the police, and then end their own lives. The player then wakes up on a deserted island, and then the game just cuts to a slideshow of their real world victims. But then it turns out that this was actually a fake ending, and then the game continues in Hell. Hell in this game is populated by the demons from Doom 2, Satan from South Park, Pikachu, Bart Simpson, Mega Man, Mario, Ronald Reagan, John Lennon, Malcolm X, John Bennett, fucking Oppenheimer. You complete a side quest, beat Satan, get his Bible, become friends with him, and roll over hell with him. This is one of the more infamous school shooter games. To me, it kind of just comes off as a shitpost. I don't really have much else to say that already hasn't been said, so we're just gonna move on. VTech Rampage. I'll be honest, whenever I hear the word VTech, I don't think of the mass event that happened. For me, what comes to mind is that weird iPad thing I used to throw at my brother. Anyway, this game is based off of the Virginia Tech shooting. The player assumes the role of Cho Soo-young and essentially recreates the event that took place. I'm speaking very broadly because this is a Newgrounds game. You can only do so much with that. For example, the terrible rap song in the background. Why do white people think they can sing? A stealth section that makes the original Metal Gear look bearable, and then after all that, the game finally starts. You go in dual-wielding Glocks, taking out the students and the Jewish teacher. This game is just a chore to play through. You're listening to an awful rap song, slogging your way through a shitty stealth section, and then you finally get to the room clearing, where you'll then have to utilize the imprecise combat under a timer. If your time runs out before you finish clearing out the building, you get arrested, which then gives you the bad ending. If you're quick enough, you can get the good ending, where you kill yourself before the cops can find you, and then the game just starts all over again. Quite frankly, I'm surprised anybody cared enough about Ching Chong-un or whatever the fuck his name is to make a game about him. This game is trash. Moving on. The Slaying of Sandy Hook, a Flash game that, like the final exam, was also made as leftist propaganda. To be more specific, it's a PSA about gun control. You play as this black humanoid shape, which is based off of this freak. You pull out a handgun, assassinate your own mother, and then steal her firearms. Just by looking at the game, you can probably tell this was made by a pretentious art fag. Anyway, you arrive at the school and clear out the rooms, going door to door, squeezing your scary black Armalite with you. There's always going to be some retard that tells you that the AR in AR-15 stands for assault rifle, which it doesn't. It stands for Armalite rifle because that was the company that made it. This has nothing to do with the game, it's just something that spikes my cortisol. In one of the rooms, you can find a teacher that shoots at you with a handgun. The teacher in question is hard-coded to miss every shot because if she actually did land her shots even though you're 2 feet away from her, that would go against the narrative. Once everybody's either dead or gone, you shoot yourself before the cops get to you, to which you'll then get New Game Plus, where this time the events play out differently because this time there are no guns. Instead, you pray Sithis before stabbing your mom and stealing her katana. You enter the school again. This time the teacher is armed with a pair of scissors, which also does nothing. While playing this segment, you'll realize that the game is contradicting itself. You see, the point the game is trying to make is that we need more gun control and that civilian gun ownership is the reason stuff like this happens. The contradiction comes in from the raw gameplay. The sword is objectively more effective than the AR-15 in this game. Somebody on this earth woke up one day saying, you know what, I'm gonna recreate Sandy Hook featuring Dante from the Devil May Cry series. I don't have much else to say. Like everything else I've talked about so far, this is trash. Off Them. Originally, Off Them was supposed to be a Roblox game, to which it then got taken down for obvious reasons. The current version runs on Unity. Based off the visuals, this looks like Crunker.io but lame and gay. The game isn't necessarily based off of anything, it's just edgy slot made by some Russian kids. The developers in question were later reported to the Russian police and are now stuck in a gulag for all eternity. When it comes to the game, there's really not much I can say. I don't care enough about it, and it just looks boring. Active Shooter is a boring, broken, buggy mess. The game is no longer on Steam. Acquiring it was too boring and too hard, so I'm just stealing footage from Mandrake. This is just nothing but pure Unreal Engine slop. You play the role of an active shooter, and you actively shoot people. It looks like a trashier version of Ready or Not. Probably because every Unreal Engine game uses the same assets from the same 2 storefronts. Holy shit, I'm falling asleep just thinking about it. Alright, next game. Alright, this one's gonna require a bit of context. There's this Dutch web series called Onigazelig. I debated whether or not I should make a video about it just because Best Girl is in it, but I have other projects at hand. So, maybe, I don't know. I'll give you a brief summary. It's a Dutch web series that plays out like a slice of life anime. You know, school setting, hijinks ensue, the usual. In one episode, one of the characters, Mymyami, gives a presentation on how they need to bring back slavery. The teacher disqualifies her, and then Mymyami jokes about shooting up the school with a Nerf gun she brought. Because it's a Nerf gun, the teacher just gets pissed off and sends her to detention. That's how the episode plays out. This game is a little different. It's a top-down twin-stick style shooter where you control Mymyami and you have to hunt down the other classmates. If you find and kill everyone, the game just ends. But if you fail, the police find you. It's a really short game that's obviously just an edgy parody. Not much else needs to be said, really. Morimiya is yet another RPG Maker game that actually has a surprising amount of depth to it. It was made by a Japanese Pixiv artist named Eric, which is obviously a subtle reference. The game is not necessarily based off of anything that happened, but rather another fictional scenario. When you start the game, you can see more of Eric's artwork. They are trying so hard to make the Ruger 1022 look cool. It should be noted that the official website's been taken down, and the only reason I was able to play this was because of an itch.io link I had. The version I had came with someone else's save file that had everything unlocked. My score was higher, by the way. Anyway, it's really hard to tell where this takes place because it looks like a Japanese school setting, but the weapons you get are compliant with American civilian gun laws. So honestly, I really can't say, but that doesn't matter. Your character is fed up with the world and she wants to take her anger out on her classmates. After finishing the tutorial, you get your weapons and you start your rampage. Remember when I said this game was in-depth? That's because this is the only one of these games that has actual enemies. School guards armed with man catchers, a yandere with a kitchen knife that can kill you with one hit, and last but not least, the principal, who has really good taste in AR furniture. The game is kind of arcadey in the sense that there's not really an end to it. You kind of just keep going till you die or get caught. Again, this wasn't made by a game dev, it was made by an artist from Pixiv. Morimiya has no business having as much detail as it does. I will say, I have had a better time playing this than the other slop on my list. I mean, what can I say? Credit where credit's due. There was effort this time. So far, that was everything that Mandrake covered in his video. However, there were some entries that he missed that I would like to talk about. So without further ado, here are the honorable mentions. TKCHS Commons B1. A Counter-Strike 1.6 map based on Clements High School in Texas. The map appears as though it's trying to be a one-to-one recreation of the high school. Don't worry, you can rest easy knowing nothing bad happened here as the guy who created the map was arrested. And just like in real life, nothing's gonna happen on this map either. There's no bots, no buy menu, nothing. Just you inside a low poly, empty building. The map is still available for download on Game Banana, but I mean, why would you want to play this? There's nothing to do. It was designed for the hostage rescue scenario, but like nothing spawns. Some people theorize this map was made as a training simulation, but I don't really see the point. My name isn't critical, but this is quite the nothing burger. I know I just talked about Columbine, but stay with me here. Eric, Harrison, Dill, and Claybold used to make Doom WAS prior to the event. In total, there's about 6 or 7 maps, but I'm going to talk about the most interesting one, which is UAC Labs.wad. The reason I'm singling this one out in particular is because they drew sprites for the death animations and added more blood decals. At this point in the 90s, Doom was seen as a very realistic and very gory game. So the idea here was to desensitize themselves by adding more of it. Don't get upset at me, but I will say one good thing about this. Adding blood decals to surfaces was unheard of at the time. Doom mods wouldn't get stuff like this till years later. Although I'm not praising them for who they are, I am acknowledging the effort where it was. I'm not going to talk about the other Columbine related mods just because they're not really worth mentioning. There's another channel called Midnight that already has a couple really good videos about it, so I go ahead and just watch that if you really give a shit. Anyways, we're gonna move on. The Elephant. Ready or Not. Ready or Not is a tactical SWAT simulator that has already been surrounded by controversies. Some look at this game and say it's surface level propaganda, while other people have looked at this game and decided that the content is too shocking and needs to be toned down. God, Call of Duty fans really think they deserve to live. Anyway, this mission plays out sort of like the other ones, except this time the stakes are a little higher. The students at this college have been taken hostage and are being executed one by one. Once you gear up, you and your team are on the clock. Eliminate the 3 stooges. Disarm all 3 bombs which change location with each playthrough. Rescue civilians. Bring order to chaos. No shitty color filters, no shitty background music to tell your brain how to think. Just you and your team of bots or players. The map is huge and can be intimidating if you're a newer player. Again, the bombs change location with each playthrough, so no matter who you are, you're gonna be on edge while playing this. Out of everything else on this list, Ready or Not's The Elephant is probably the most respectful game that I've talked about so far. It's not trying to beat you over the head with a message, or weaponize a tragic event that happened in someone's life. It's a mission that puts you and others in a high-risk situation that could have happened anywhere. It's a mission that makes you think, what would have happened if my team wasn't here to stop this? This could have happened at some point in the game's story and you wouldn't have been there to stop it. You did get there late, but at least you saved some people. After playing all of these games, with the exception of one, I think it's safe to say that none of the people that made these games fully understood what they were doing. To me, these games just come off as some edgy project meant to shock people, and that's really about it. Hopefully I don't get any complaints. Hopefully the police don't knock on my door like they did with Mandrake. Either way, I hope you enjoyed the video. I know the dick grind's insane, but subscribe to Mandrake. Subscribe to me first. Follow my socials if you haven't already. Like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. And with all of that out of the way, yeah, I got nothing. Fuck off.
Holy cannoli, kids, I'm Mario, and I'm telling you, if you're not watching the Super Mario Bros. Super Show, you're gonna turn into a Goomba.